Welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, President of Performance Strategies and Diane Bogino Development. Our guest today is Rick Hamilton, a 16-year veteran realtor in the Atlanta market. His awards from the Atlanta Realtors Association include the coveted Top Producer Award. HamiltonFineHomes RE/MAX Metro Atlanta focuses on buyers and sellers in the Atlanta to Midtown market. Rick's engineering and marketing degree and an MBA in information systems enabled him to understand home construction and home purchasing financing, helping his clients make the best decisions for their largest investment. Rick Hamilton, welcome to Business Notes, and thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you, Diane.
So let me ask you, Rick, what is a pre-approval and why do I need one?
Well, a pre-approval is a letter that comes from a mortgage company, a loan officer, and it tells a buyer just how much house they're qualified to buy. So you have to have that before you make an offer, because if you send in an offer without a pre-approval, the seller is just going to send it right back and say, I can't take your offer unless I know that you have the wherewithal to buy my house.
Right. Okay. So what all is involved in the purchase process?
Well, there's probably 157 steps, but my job as a realtor is to help you through all of those processes as effortlessly as possible. You know, if you divide it into the big chunks, there's the getting educated about the market. There's the process of setting up a tour or multiple tours to find the house on which you'd like to make an offer. There's the making of the offer. Then there's the counter offers and the negotiating to get to a meeting of the minds. Once you get to a meeting of the minds, then we zoom up to, all right, it's go time. I got to get my inspectors in there. I have to get my insurance people online. I have to evaluate the results of all the inspections, and there's a home inspector, a termite inspector, a stucco, whatever it takes for the given property that you're looking at.
Right. Go ahead.
Once we get through the inspection process and we look at the reports that come from the inspectors, we write up an amendment that we send to the seller to address the concerns that we have with the property. And then we go through another negotiating session. And if we don't have successful negotiations, then we can pull out and get our earnest money back. But if we get through and we have a meeting of the minds, then we zoom up to the next gate, which is the appraisal process. We hire the appraiser. Appraiser comes in, says, I think the house is worth this much. If the house is below the contract price, then we go into a negotiations loop with the seller and say, we want you to bring the contract down. If we don't get a meeting of the minds, then we can pull out and get our earnest money back. If we do have a meeting of the minds, then we zoom up to the final stretch to the home gate, and we ask the underwriting department at the bank for final loan approval. Once we get final loan approval, then we head to closing.
A lot involved. And you touched on something about like when the inspector comes in and there's a little document called the seller's property disclosure statement. Do you think that homeowners understand that that is a legal document and they just start checking, no, this has never happened, that's never happened, when indeed the roof is caved in once and all that kind of stuff?
Some sellers do, if they have a good realtor working with them who kind of beats it into their head that you can't say anything illegal here. You can also advise them to not answer a question because, quite frankly, if I were to buy a resale house, and then when it comes time to sell, I certify that there's never been any drug making activity in the house. I don't know that. The previous owners could have done that. So sometimes not answering a question is in fact the best answer.
Right. So tell me this, what is it about this year, 2020, that makes it an incredible time to both sell and buy a house? That's kind of unusual, isn't it?
It is, because of the financial debacle we had back in 2008. Property values got really depressed, and some properties are still climbing back up out of that valley. So until people get back to what they at least paid for their homes back in 08 or before, they're going to want to put their houses on the market. Other people that might have really good equity in their homes still don't want to put their house on the market because they don't want people with COVID coming into their houses. And whether that's a rational fear or not, it's just what it is. So you've got those two forces coming along that kind of has really depressed the inventory. We have about 3 months of inventory to sell. And that means if nobody else from this day forward decided they were going to sell, we'd have this inventory of houses and we'd run out in 3 months. Normally we have about a 6-month inventory. Now for the buyers, it's a great time to buy because we are at historically low interest rates. There's a builder in Georgia who has an in-house lender, and they are offering something like 2.79%. Wow. Crazy, crazy, crazy.
Yes, that is. For sure.
I think my first house I probably bought when the rate was around 18%.
Yeah, right, right. So, Rick, you know, no offense, but real estate agents are like us coaches. There's one on every corner. So what would be my advantage of working with Hamilton Fine Homes over another agent that I might know?
Well, you know, there's lots of fine agents out there. What I can tell you about Rick Hamilton is that he's a Boy Scout. I tell the truth. I'm a realtor, which means I pledge to a code of ethics. Beyond that, there's all the, you know, the education stuff. I have a dual degree in engineering and marketing. I have an MBA in information systems. So I know how houses are built. I know how to finance them. I know how to find them on the computers. And I bring a wealth of experience to the process. When I'm out in the market looking at other agents that are either bringing their buyers or selling their houses, it's just amazing the silly things that I see some other agents doing.
So why would I need an agent at all? Why can't I just sell my house myself?
Do you remember those 157 steps that I mentioned earlier?
Yes.
It's really easy to forget about one of those, and any one of those could land you in a lawsuit. So using a great realtor is very cheap insurance.
So final question, how can I encourage a bidding war on my house when I list it for sale?
Great question. When we look at pricing for a house, we look at the comps, that is the comparable listings within a 1 mile radius around the house. We look at what they sold for in the last 6 months, and then we adjust the price for square footage or features and so forth. The position, is it next to the road or is it back in the cul-de-sac? And so then we come up with a range, and let's say we came up with a house and we said it's worth $400,000. We could list it for $395,000, or we could list it for $405,000, $10,000 range. If we list it for $405,000, well, all of a sudden, anybody who said they can't afford anything over $400,000, they're out of the picture. If we list it for $395,000, we get everybody who said that they could afford something under $400,000, plus the people that could afford $400,000 to $450,000. So we have a much larger pool of buyers. And this year, in every offer that I've made, it's been a competitive bidding situation. There have been more buyers than I've ever seen before. And so they're bidding against each other. So if we start with a price that's just a little bit on the low side of the comp, we're pretty much guaranteed to get a bidding war.
Great, great information and good to know. Rick, I think you've given our viewers the information they need to know on why they really should work with a honest and bona fide realtor, and I appreciate you being on the show today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Diane, for calling. I appreciate it.
Thank you for watching Business Notes. We've been speaking with Rick Hamilton, a 16-year veteran realtor in the Atlanta market. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, bringing you business ideas you can bank on.